Hello, I'm Pam, and this is Made by Pam, and welcome back. So, what I'm going to be sewing today is a new look 6321. And it's this pattern right here, and it's going to be that view B. Now what I'm doing is I am going to be making nursing tops. So, Raglan T breastfeeding tops for my sister. And so we're going to go ahead and show you how to do that with a Raglan T style shirt. And you can use any style of Raglan T. It doesn't matter. Either one will work. You can use a regular t-shirt too, just different methods. But we can go over that too. So, I've sewn up a couple of these already. But I haven't sewn up I've sewn up one style like this. This is a Raglan T. And I sewed up one, and I'll pop in a picture. I'll try to link it to this. And then you'll see what it is. But basically, the Raglan T, because the seam is right there. So basically, the seam is going to go down so far. I have it positioned out. And then it'll go down, and it will attach about right there. So this part will be open, but there is going to be kind of like a half shirt, like a shelf bra almost, that's going to go around, and it's going to do the same thing over here. And then it's just going to be stitched. So, I have sewn like one Raglan T breastfeeding top for my sister, and so I have this pattern that I cut out a bunch more, and so it has the pattern instructions here on how to do it, but I don't like the way those instructions are, and so we're not even going to go with those instructions. I like my method better. So basically, we're just going to put the instructions away, and we're not even going to use those. Not really. Well, we will use a basic concept, but I'm not going to go with those instructions. So, what I have done is I took the tissue paper and I copied the pattern pieces out. And you can do this with like tracing paper, with like pieces of interfacing. And so I had this cute little interfacing stuff that has little flowers on it. And I got a roll of it for $1 from Goodwill on a Goodwill Monday. And so for the nursing tops, they're going to take 6 pieces. And normally it would only take 5 for a Raglan T. But for the top there, it's going to take 6 because we're adding an extra piece. So first piece, we have a neckband piece. And these marks are like the marks that are going to line up that you match in the back. Which, the last couple that I've done, I haven't done that. I've just taken it when I sew it up. And these are all 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And we are going to stick to that. So, when I sew it up, I stitch along here 5/8 of an inch. Fold it open. And then I take it and I fold it. And sew the neckband. And we will show you step by step how to do that. But this is one of the pieces. And then I have this piece which this one I have labeled as back. And I know this is going to be kind of hard to see because they're on clear pieces here. But I have this piece. I have it all marked out. And basically you put it on the fold and cut. Then I have a front piece, which I have used pink pen to do it. Got that. And then we have the sleeve piece. And on the sleeve pieces, I make sure that I mark the back with 2 triangles and the front with 1. The most important part is just marking the back, because you want to make sure that you have your back lined up to the back piece. And then the next thing, so basically what I have actually done is with this front piece, I've already cut out all the pieces. So here's the front piece, and so I've cut out like 2 of the front pieces for each T. But then there is a shorten and lengthen line in the middle of the top. That basically what I have done is we have just taken it and we have see that line there? We have gone and we folded that in half and made so that it is like half, and then it's just going to make it like a shelf bra type thing, and it leaves enough room to fold it under and make the elastic piece. We'll put those aside. And then the other piece, so what I did is I took that front piece, I laid it out, I folded the piece of it. So let me show you again real quick to get where we're going to, because see this piece right here is where the sleeve would attach, and then right up here. So what I've done is I've taken this and I have folded it in such a way that it's going to make it so that when it goes on, it's going to attach up here and right there, and then it's just going to leave that open, so it's not going to be all the way attached. So I laid that out and then traced it out on a piece of paper. So here is my front piece pattern, and so it goes right up like that, lines down. Now this raglan tee I didn't make with this pattern. This one was one that we traced out of another pattern piece. Well, we traced it from a t-shirt. My sister did. And so that's what we have done. But I think it's very nice. So I have this piece cut out. And so I still have to cut out the front pieces, like take and slice off that end on that. So front open, but stitch. So I'm just going to fold it over and stitch it up, and it's just going to leave that opening. So first we have our front piece. So we've gone over all 6 pattern pieces. Then we're going to go over these. So see, I already have it cut and I have the lines made. And yeah, and I'm using black. And I'm using black thread too. Almost thinking maybe I should do one of these other ones. Just so. But I don't want to do that one because I want to do that one in a different color. And then this one is also black and navy. So, it's just how it's going to have to be. My serging is, well, I'm going to change that to black too, just for my sister's sake. So this is a sleeve piece. So there are 2 sleeve pieces. And I don't have those notches marked yet, but I will mark them. So we have the 2 sleeve pieces. 1, too. And they're going to be long sleeves. Okay. And then next, this is that piece I said to cut, like fold over and cut. This is the front piece. And this is a piece that goes right up here. And it goes down. So that is kind of low, but it's going to be stitched up. And it's just going to, you know, basically this is what's going to form like the closure on the sleeve. This is going to be all. That's why the sleeves are black and this is black. And then these are the maroon. So we have a front piece and a back piece. This piece is the back piece. And then this piece is the front piece here. Until basically I haven't taken and cut this off yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it back in half to where it needs to be. And I am going to lay the pattern piece on top of it and take and use my rotary cutter and cut along where it needs to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up and then show you how it looks. Okay, so hopefully you can see this okay. I've got this laid out. Then we're just going to take this piece here. We're going to take our washers here, which are my pattern weights. And we're just going to line this up along the area here. Basically, see how it's open right there? Looks like my fabric shrunk a little bit. Or maybe I just cut this piece a little bit longer than expected. I don't know. Anywho. And so we have that set up here. So basically we're just going to take and we're just going to take and cut that. Let me get my cutter here. Now I've had this cutter forever. Woo! Try to throw it at you. See the little thing's broken. But I love it. We're just going to take it here and cut along here. And hopefully this works out okay, and I left enough for a seam allowance on this edge. Okay, so we have this first piece ready. Now I'm making 3 Raglan tee breastfeeding tops for my sister. They're all going to have different collar blocking. So hopefully it works out. So this is the front piece. It's going to be the part that goes over. And then we've got the other pieces. So I don't know what to say. Seriously. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take my tailor's chalk and I'm just going to put a big X on this because this is going to mean that this is like the wrong side of the fabric. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Because this fabric all came in a giant roll. Maybe I'm going to have to cut that piece out. But yeah. So stay tuned and we'll get to this next part. Okay. So what I have here is my neck piece. And I'm just going to line up those end pieces here. Just like that. I put it in my machine. So basically, I'm using a Brother CS6000i computer machine, a Brother. And I set it on stitch 2, which is a stretched straight stitch. I set it at stitch length 3. And I have my walking foot on. So it's going to be kind of noisy. Just for the pure fact of that the walking foot makes it extra noisy. So if I can figure out how to speed it up, I will. So, oh, yeah, it's on. Okay. So put this needle down. And this, I don't use a foot pedal on. I can now because I got one. But I like being able to just do it this way. When I stop it, I lift it up just to make sure it doesn't catch on that walking foot part. And then I start it again. Okay. Alright, so there we go. So the next step here, and I'm going to need my pins. Okay, so basically, I'm going to open it up. And I like to do the neck piece first, just because. And then I have it ready for when I need it. I like to take it and fold it over. I'm going to try to do like step by step with you. So basically you just fold it over and you get it all pinned up. So go ahead and pin it all up together. And I'll show you the next step once we've got that. Alright. So this is the neckband piece that is all pinned up. And I'm just going to set it aside. And we'll get back to that in just a bit. Okay. Alright. Going? Alright, here we go. So I have this. This is the back piece. And I basically don't worry about putting the notches. So you can if you want to. But I've done so many of them that, like I just got done like making 3 of them. So I have my little notches so that I know which one is which. So I'm basically going to take and line this up along this edge here. See this? And I'm going to just take it and I'm just going to pin it all up. And I am going to do that on both sides. Just pin it up. Just go along and pin, 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 like really quick. I basically just use the notches as a reference to remind me what side is the back and what side is the front. These have generally lined up really well. I haven't had any issues with them lining up where they need to line up. We'll see, we have that all pinned up. And then we're going to move that aside. And we're going to take this other piece here, where we've got the notches. So it indicates the back. And we're just going to go here, and we are just also going to put pins along this edge. Okay, I've got this all pinned up. I've got both sides of the back. Now normally I would pin up the front piece of this, the front piece onto the sleeve, but I'm going to hold off on that until I get this piece sewn up, because for the front piece we are going to be putting these together and attaching it, and so I just kind of want to leave those off to the side. But before we attach those, I'm also going to need to take this and fold in these edges here and just kind of do a narrow stitch along. And I am just going to also do that in black thread, because this burgundy or maroon color, it looks really nice against the black, and it looks really good with the stitching with the black. So we're just going to keep it that way. So just go along and fold it in and stitch it up. Now I probably don't have to even roll it. I could probably just take it and just fold it once and just stitch it up, and it would suffice, because this is, you know, knit fabric, and I don't think it's gonna like unravel too much. There's been a couple pieces that have had loose strings, but hardly ever. So I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to stitch this back piece, this back sleeve pieces on, and we're going to do a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I will show you one side of the sleeve getting sewn on, and we're going to do it on this maroon side so you can see the stitches. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you see this. So I have it lined up on my 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and we're just going to go along here. And you'll be able to see it as it goes out the back, I'm hoping. I don't know how well you can see that. Let's see if you can see that better. We're just going along with the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. As I go along, I am going to take out the pin, of course. I want to make sure you have the best angle and view. I know the light is kind of bright, and so it kind of hinders being able to see what is going on. Okay. Let's go ahead and show you what we've got here. Okay. So we have this stitch done up here, and it's at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then we've got this other sleeve done up over here. So you can see some of the stitching there. And then we're going to take and attach the front pieces, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so I have the front pieces laid out. This is a front piece, and then this is a front shelf bra piece, and we're just going to lay those out and line them up, line up the neck pieces and everything. So we're just going to go ahead and take this piece here. I'm just going to go around and pin it together, just to make sure that these pieces stay together. And if I wanted to, I could probably stitch it together, just to make sure it stays together. But but I don't think that that will be necessary. So then along here, there's this piece. We're just going to also, oh, wait, I forgot a step. Yeah, so, sorry. Let's put this piece aside for a moment. We are going to take this and we are going to, jeez, can't be forgetting steps, can we? We're going to take and we're going to just fold this over and just do a narrow, well, I don't know. We're just going to take and fold it over, and we're just going to stitch along here. Which I'm thinking maybe I will pin this together just to be sure that I get it to the right hem allowance. Now if I had, well, to the right hem width, I guess. If I maybe, I don't know. I seriously don't. No? You think I should have a script or something? No, I've been thinking about doing this for a while. Think of what I would say, what I would do, and how I would do it. Doesn't always go that way, does it? No. So, basically, just gonna, yeah, I can get it to go in there right. So, just gonna go ahead and go along this and fold it in. So you've got that little seam. And then we're going to take the machine and stitch it up. So I'll show you just a moment. Okay, so we're just sewing up this edge here. Slow it down a little bit. Ah. Part of my edge keeps coming out. Just stitch this up. Push the back button and it just kind of locks that in place. It up. Well, hopefully I got all of that seam inside, and no, I did not. I missed it just a tad. Well, no worries. May not look 100%, but it will still look okay. I hope. See, by all means, I'm not a professional. But sometimes I am a perfectionist. But in times like this, it's good enough. And that's going to have to be good enough for me. Okay, so we have that all stitched up for the edges. So then the next step is to take this piece and this piece and put them together. So basically where that raw edge is here, that's going to be your wrong side. You're going to take this other top piece, just going to lay it on top here. And then you're going to take and pin it up together. And then that will all work out, I hope. We're just going to pin this together just so it holds them together while we sew the sleeve pieces on. And yep, I'm using a bent pin. Look at that. It works just the same. One of my pins end up getting bent. Man. Hear my little boy up there? Yeah, he's being kind of noisy. Kind of excited. Okay. So we have that. See how that kind of overlaps there? And hopefully I sewed that piece in enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it and pin on the sleeve portion of it, and then we'll stitch it up and go from there. So I went ahead and turned it over so we see this piece is on the other side. I'm going to take this sleeve piece here and basically we're going to lay it so right sides are together. This is considered the right side and this is considered the right side. And we're just going to take, and we've got our sleeve piece here. And we're just going to pin this together. Well, I made quite a few Raglan tees, but I've only really ever made one Raglan tee breastfeeding top, and it was in this fabric that I'm wearing for my sister. So basically when we're sewing that up, we're going to want to make sure that this red piece isn't going to be caught in the other seams. We want it caught right up to the stitching, like right here, going up. But the rest of this, we don't want that caught in there. Take that, the pins that I've already placed in there, So I'll finish pinning these pieces together. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I have this all pinned together, both sides. Then we're going to take it and go ahead and stitch 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and just stitch this together. Okay, lower my foot, just start it out. Go ahead and do a back stitch if you'd like. But these seams are going to be covered up with the new seam anyways, so it's not always necessary, especially with the stretch stitch. And I kind of use my hands to guide the fabric and to make sure that I'm not getting any puckers of fabric under the presser foot. Then occasionally I will just stop it, just kind of reposition the fabric a little bit because this is stretchy fabric, and at times it does like to move. So I end up doing a lot of starting and stopping on this project. And now we've gotten into stitching up the top piece here for the cover. Okay. So we have that stitch done up. Let's go ahead and check out this piece. And it looks like I may have to do a little bit of unpicking because I didn't quite have that positioned right. Maybe. No, actually, it's actually going to be okay. So then I'm just going to take it along to this other side here. I guess one of the reasons why it was that way is because I was going upwards instead of going downwards on this. So we're just going to go along here, down this seam, and stitch that together. Okay, so now we're just stitching down this other end here. Alright. Go ahead and stitch this together. Kind of manipulate the fabric so it goes where I want it to go. So along here, just keep going. And I just take out the pins as I go along, because it helps keep the fabric in place and together where it needs to be. Stop, back, up, or cut, cut. And then let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. So we have this sewn together. So it's partially done. So we have that piece there and that piece there. Had that opening, so we don't have it connected here yet. Okay, so the next step, after I get the sleeves attached, usually I will take my serger and I will just take it along these seams and serge the edges together. And then after I get the edges serged together, I like to take and do a top stitch right along this area. So I'm going to go ahead and use my serger, and I'll show you how I line that up to do that, and show you in a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do first is I'm going to change this white thread to a black serger thread. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that real quick, and then we'll show you how I serge that up. Okay, so I have my serger all set up with black thread, and basically what I do is, let me show you, because on this foot here, I don't know how the best way to show you it is. Yeah, so I don't know why my camera keeps stopping when I push pause. But we're just going to carry on. Put my needle down. And I've got it set. I'm going to set it to 3.5 stitch length since I'm kind of doing a top stitch. And we're just going to go ahead and go along here and stitch this up. Dang, I ran out of bobbin thread, and I was almost finished with this edge. Oh my goodness. So to be continued. Okay, so we have this all stitched and serged. So next step that I like to do is I like to add these little top stitching details. Here I have some purple on this one, and I just do it on the inside part. So we're going to take this, and where there's the red is where the black stitching is going to be. So we're going to do the back side of it first. Kind of feed this fabric through the machine piece. I like to get it all lined up. Then on my foot, little edge there, I like to line up the middle of my foot because my needle is on the left-hand side. Let's see if I can show you that real quick. See right there? And then it's stitch. The needle is going to stitch along this burgundy. Okay, for this front piece, we're also just going to take and do a top stitch. Right on down. And slow it down just a touch and then speed it up. Okay. And stitch those, clip those stitches. Alright. See? So we have that top stitching done right there. And we have the top stitching completed right there. Then I'll show you the next step. Okay, the next step, after I get the top stitching done on the sleeve pieces, I like to take the neck band. We have the neck band here. And I have my notches cut in the back. Now this is a center notch, and these are the two sides. So I make sure that my center seam is lined up there, and my two other notches are lined up right there. We just have this here. And this is my center seam here, and my notches here. So basically, we are pinning it to the right side of the fabric. We'll see, we have it here. And we are just going to pin it along the right side. Oops. Make sure I have it all lined up here. There we go. So as you're pinning it together, you just want to make sure that you're lining it up, and sometimes you'll have a little bit of a gap here. That's kind of hard to see because it's all black. But this neckband stretches, and so you can just give it a little bit of a tug, and it will stretch out enough to come even with these edges. And just go along and pin it together like this. And sometimes it gets a little more complicated doing it and wanting to make sure that you have all of the front pieces inside there. because you have that extra layer. Okay, so I have the neckband all pinned on. I'm going to go ahead and go along and stitch this. And you can do a 5/8 inch seam allowance, or you can also do, let's see, I think it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is just to the edge of my foot there. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and stitch it together, and then I'll show you the next step. So what I've done here is I have taken off my little drawer, and so I've got my free arm available. So I have part of it going up under the machine, so I can just go and stitch along. For this neckband piece, I think I'm just doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance, just kind of going along the edge of my presser foot there. Okay, so I have the neckband all sewn together, all sewn on, and so you have a choice. You can either take it to the serger and stitch along here, and then do the top stitch along here, and it would be the same method that I used along here as along there, or any way that you want to do it. But so that I'm having to like not switch out as much, I'm just going to leave this for now, and I am going to take this and I am going to line this up so that I can stitch. Well, no, I'm going to take this piece right here. This is the shelf bra piece, and I am going to fold that in just like this. I'm just going to fold it. I'm going to insert a piece of elastic in there after I stitch it down, and stitch a piece of elastic in there, and then it will kind of like a little shelf bra covering piece. So it will just go up like it maybe a, let's see, I guess I've been folding it about 1/2 inch so that it gives me enough of a seam, edge for a seam, and then I've got at least a 1/4 inch for the elastic to go in along here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm doing here. I've decided that I'm just going to take the elastic and kind of wrap it up over. Maybe. Might be a little more difficult to do. I don't know yet. Okay, so it may have been easier if I had just stitched this up before attaching it. But so what I've done is I've just done a 1/2 inch seam along here. And then I'm going to take my 1/4 inch elastic, and I am just going to use, I knew where my bodkins ran off to, I would get one of those. So I can just use a safety pin, and I will just attach it to the elastic. I will string it through here, and then I will just stitch it up on the end, and then the elastic will just kind of be free in the center. So I'm not even going to put stitches down this elastic. So we're just going to take and we're just going to put this elastic through the opening and just feed it through. As simple as that. We just continue to put it through until it's all through to the other end. Okay, so I had a change of mind. I was looking at how much space, and I realized that it's just going to be better to use my 3/8 of an inch elastic, because it is just going to fit just perfect there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this elastic the same length as what I had my 1/4 inch elastic cut, and then we're going to feed it through. Okay, so when you get to the almost end, you don't want to pull that all the way through. You want to make sure that you either pin it or you just stick it in your sewing machine and stitch a little stitch along there just to make sure that the elastic stays where it needs to stay so that it's secure. So now I have my elastic secure in this end. Then I can just go ahead and continue on putting it the rest of the way through. Okay, so we went ahead and got it all the way pulled through. I'm taking out the safety pin here. I'll loosen that, make sure it's lined up right there on the end. I'm going to go ahead and stick it in my machine, on my machine here. And stick it in. And stitch that up real quick. Just to make a securing hold on this elastic so that it doesn't come undone. And this elastic along the bottom will help create the shelf bra-like part of the shirt. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to line up, go ahead and pin up the sleeve pieces. We're going to take the sleeves and we're going to pin these up together and along the side of the shirt. I don't know what just happened. Okay, so I was saying on this has these little marks. I basically go to that like third mark this way, or second mark going from this way over. And I like to line up my previous stitching to that, and it lines it up pretty well. So I just kind of line it up. That kind of gives me like a visual key point of where I need to have it. So I have it all serged up. And then I'm going to go ahead and serge up all those next pieces, and then I'll show you what's the next step. Hello, so today is a new day, but I've got it all pinned together. And this is the shelf bra piece that is going to cover up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along and stitch along the seam 5/8 of an inch. And so go ahead and do that, and then after we get the 5/8 of an inch sewn along both sides, I'll show you the next step. Okay, so went ahead and sewed along here 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I did that on both sides. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the serger, and I am going to stitch, we'll serge along the edges. See how that looks? What I'm going to do is I'm going to serge along the side seams, and then also I am going to serge along this neck edge. And I saved it doing the neck edge till I was ready to use the serger. So it saves. And like switching back and forth. But I do a lot of switching. I do a lot of sewing on the regular machine, and then I switch to the serger. And so that just kind of, reduces steps. So go, and if you don't have a serger, it'll work without that. All you have to do, like for the neck edge, is you just take it and fold it over and just stitch it down with the regular sewing machine. So you just fold it, and then see that edge there? And just take and stitch along that. I just like to use the serger because I have one. So go ahead, and if you have a serger, go ahead and serge it up and do the neckline, and then I'll show you what it looks like. We'll go from there. Okay, so I have gone ahead and serged the edges, and I've used black thread to serge the edges. And I have serged this top edge here. So what I'm going to do also is I'm going to add a tag label on here. Basically, I like to add the labels so you can tell which side is the back and the front. No, she's not going to need that. So actually, I'm not going to do that. Well, that's kind of up in the air here. Do I add a label? Do I not? Well, maybe I will. Okay, so I'm going to get a label and add a label. Okay, so I have my box. It's just a little organizer box that I like to use, and it has my label supplies in it. And I have these labels already made up. When I do the labels for people that I'm making them for, I just use white ones, like for my kids and other people. And when I'm making labels for myself, for my clothes, I like to use my blue labels. Because if I use the blue ones for my clothes and the white ones for other clothes, especially when it comes to clothes for my daughter, which she actually has a blue label in her shirt because she took the shirt from me when I showed it to her. Like, oh, Mom, I want this shirt. Can I have it, please? Yeah. So I gave her the shirt. But that's okay. I have my little white label. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and attach it. Like I'm just going to stick it like that. And then when I turn this, like I'm going to sew it on. And when I turn this over, like this, it's just going to be stitched in. Okay, so I've stitched my label in, see? I just use a simple stitch, and then it's just going to realize I didn't do it very straight. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch. I could do a top stitch along this edge to secure this top edge down. Okay, so I have the top edge of the stitching done right along here. I got my tag sewn in. I have the side stitching, and I still need to sew the sleeve hem, so I still need to turn it in and sew it up and turn the bottom hem up, but we can do that in a moment. And then you just have that shelf bra piece there. Go ahead and turn it right side out. Here's the back side. And then we have the front side. And then here is the opening to lift up and feed the baby. So basically, that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. I'm sure you're not going to need me to walk you through how to turn over the sleeve cuffs and hem that up. It's fairly simple. You just fold it in. You can fold it in twice. You can fold it in once. Either way you do it will work just fine. Just like this. This one I used white thread on for my serging, and then black thread for my top stitching. But these I just folded in. I think I like the sleeve cuffs better, but that's okay. We're just going to keep it how it is. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and talk to you later. Bye.